Hello, this is Devashi Blue, spiritual and energetic life coach at Perfectly Powerful Peace, welcoming you to my mini masterclass, Heal Your Heart. So, heal your heart. What is hurting your heart? Many of us are in relationships that are toxic or with toxic people who are emotionally draining us, and it's exhausting. So, we need to learn who they are, how they operate, what's going on, a reality check, and then look at how we are participating in that dynamic relationship as highly sensitive, empathic women who have a spiritual desire to go within, but we can't access that energy because we're putting it out to these people who are demanding it. So once we've released toxic people and these relationship patterns, we can then have access to reclaim our inner divine energy, and then we will attract a much higher vibratory person to us because we will be energetically vibrating at a higher level. So let's dive in and look at the extremes of the polarities of the light and dark, of the kinds of dynamics that are going on in relationships that keep us from our hearts. So we're going to be looking at narcissistic types of people and empathic types. Now, a narcissistic type of person is the polar opposite of an empathic type of person, in that they generally don't have empathy. They don't feel for others. They aren't really compassionate. They don't really feel sympathy either. So they don't really feel for other people. They don't feel other people, and they're not drawn to help other people, only themselves. And an empathic type of person does get the feels. We can feel energy in a room. You feel it in your body. You feel it energetically. You feel it physically. You feel it emotionally. You're highly sensitive. Other people might poo-poo that, but it's for reals. Let's start with looking at narcissistic type of people. Now, inside of this, we're not assessing and judging people. We're simply looking for what's so that we can look out for that and know how to deal with it. Because we don't want to keep losing energy, we want to reclaim it. Now, you may not be aware of this, but psychologists say there's 5 major types of narcissistic people: classic, grandiose, malignant, covert or stealth, and communal. Now, you may be saying to yourself, I'm not sure if this masterclass is for me, because you may not recognize or know that you have someone in your life currently who's narcissistic or a narcissist. However, we all have ways of being and interacting and dynamics that are our default. And when there's a narcissistic person around, if you don't have the right understanding, you're going to get pulled into their dramas. Now, it may be that maybe someone you grew up with was this way, or someone you used to work with, or a relationship you used to have, or someone in your, whatever group you're in, friends group or whatever. And you can look at it from that perspective. Oh, yeah. And then that can inform you if you meet someone new, or you can see behavior differently from this point. This is going to be very empowering for you. So let's look at the first type. Classic narcissist. May have had a narcissistic parent, and they were entrained to be this way, programmed not to care. They could be very deeply wounded because they didn't get the love and the empathy that they needed, so they are not empathetic nor compassionate. Matter of fact, they're just very entitled and self-promoting. They can be quite manipulative with any relationship, always trying to be controlling and in control, minimizing other people's emotions and gaslighting them to do that. And they may appear to be quite confident, but in fact they are not. They are deeply insecure. I always think it's amazing that people that are so arrogant are really so ignorant, not only of who they're being, but who we are as divine beings. It's like, honor that. But they're so self-focused. They constantly seek validation, attention of any kind, and agreement. And if you can kind of see it and they recognize that, because they're constantly scoping out who people are to find their soft spots or their weak spots so they can manipulate that later, use it against you, use that as ammo. They may seem at first to, butter you up, stroke your ego, praise you a lot, but that doesn't last because that's not who they are. They're not really that, positive, empowering, uplifting person. They're going to fall back into, and they may go back and forth using that push me, pull you kind of thing, where it's like, then you're going up the ladder and down the ladder over and over and never get anywhere, and you're exhausted. So they can go anywhere from being grandiose and very loud to being very stealth and very dangerous. And they'll play the martyr. It's always poor, pitiful them, and it's always your fault. And they'll never take responsibility and apologize for anything that they participated in. If they did, they'll just backslide immediately. It's just a technique to get you off their back and to fool you, manipulate you. So they don't actually do that self-reflection. They're focused on how they can get what they want from you. And they're not going to change, the psychologists say, I think maybe someone who's younger and becomes aware of it, and they get a lot of pushback and then a lot of support going the other direction, can adjust. But I have seen people that just they're just set from the get-go, and I don't know what would motivate them to change, because they're delusional, thinking that it's great. And it's been said that 10 to 15% of the population is narcissistic, but I think from recent events we've seen it's more like 30%, so double that. And it's hard to quantify that, because one of the ways that gets measured is by professionals diagnosing people, but they're not going to go in for therapy because they're having a great time making you miserable. It's everyone else's fault. It's never them. So they don't get diagnosed, so they don't get the treatment, so they don't change. It's sad and unfortunate, but true. Moving on and stepping up to a grandiose narcissist. They are pompous, always egotistical, controlling. What a waste of energy. They need and desire constant attention. Like I said, any kind, good, bad, whatever. They have to be right. They can never be wrong. They'll take credit for things they didn't even do. and never apologize, never take responsibility. And of course, since it's not them, it's someone else. So they're constantly bad-mouthing other people, trying to undermine trust between people, ruining people's reputation through gossiping. If you call them on anything, like I said, they might apologize initially, but go right back to it. They may double down using alternative facts, blaming and shaming, deflecting, and quite often we call these people drama kings and queens. So if you're wondering, is it me or is it them? It's not you. If someone is narcissistic and that's not you, then it's them. Or they say, you look around and you think it's not you, it's you. But really, I grew up with this. Me and my brothers. My father is narcissistic. And I was so grateful to have him because we would look and go, feeling crazy. It's like, is it us or is it him? It's him, right? It really helps to have someone in your corner who gets you, who gets it, that you can talk to in a way that's empowering, that doesn't keep you tied back into the same drama, the same dynamic. Because you are not, even though someone tries to victimize you, and people can do you harm, but you are not a victim. You're a powerful person. You just need to get this energy out of your center and out of your boundaries, out of your life, out of your head and out of your heart. Stepping up a little more, you can have a malignant narcissist. They are mean, mean people. Not just mean girls, mean people. Criminal behavior. They have no filter. They don't ask, should I do this? Is this right? Is this for the betterment of all? No. They have big bad time behaviors. Stealing, lying, cheating, sedition. They're illegal things that they're willing to go to. And many people who have more money, more power, more control, and fewer limits on them, if they're already narcissistic, they're just going to keep on going and expanding that bad behavior. And I would imagine they're looking to get something besides these things. They're looking to fill something that can't be filled in those ways, because nobody can give us the love that we feel missing. So a couple examples here: Bernie Madoff and Donald Trump. Sedition, sedition. Then you have covert or stealth people. These can seem a little quieter sometimes. You know, they play the martyr. Well, quieter, and not that they don't talk as much, but not as loudly maybe. But they need a lot of attention. They play the victim. Poor, beautiful me. They're very put upon. They can be very passive aggressive, and they may seem depressed. However, you try to assist them, uplift them, show them another way, the claws can come out, and they can be very arrogant and self-righteous about being wronged. Poor me. Here's an interesting one. A communal narcissist is someone who does things in order to get attention, in order to get kudos, in order to look good. And they do it in community, in social justice and spiritual communities. And they're not really caring about those that are supposed to be being served. They're looking for status, for power, for, position, for, being part of this clique, or having this amount of money, or pulling these numbers. It doesn't feel right being around them, because they're really just doing this to look good. It looks good on my resume. It'll look good for getting my kid into a school, or, they'll help me deal with my guilt of not, caring to start with. And these people may dress very well because they like looking put together. Now, I've said all that because if you have somebody that's a narcissistic person, a narcissist, they want you to filter your life through their perspective. Always be on the ready for that. And we are, as empathic people, drawn to energies, and that energy, oddly enough, is very magnetic. Polar opposites attract. Bam! You give, they take. Hello! What kind of dynamic is that? Draining on you. And they're never going to be happy because they can't get what they want and need from the outside. But damn if they won't keep trying. So we're just going to throw that away. It's like, yes, nah, no, thank you. And just release ourselves. Now, what we're going to look at first, though, is how we participate in this dynamic from a place of empathy. And again, it's no blame, no shame, no judgment. It's just what's so. You have right understanding. It's going to empower you to be able to recognize and then be able to have the tools to do something differently so that you have the outcomes that you want, the life that you want. Thriving and free and joyful and calm and peaceful and connected and supported. Yes. Yes. So now we're going to move into the part of the conversation that is about women as empaths, as empathic women who need to, we need to heal our hearts by releasing ourselves from these patterns of being a magnet for narcissists. We're going to look at how we participate on the different levels of being empathic and see if you can identify, parts of yourself or of others whom you know. And at the end, I'll give you a tool for one way of doing this, but recognition first is super important. I don't know about you, but I was not aware that there are different empathic types of people. So you might want to look and see if there's any part of any of these that resonate with you. So the empathic personalities are overly empathic, a rescuer, overly positive, a forgiver, or just someone like a narcissist may have had a narcissistic parent. An empathic person who feels very compassionate and compelled, feels for other people, they may have had a narcissistic parent also. That is true for me. So let's dive in and see what this inquiry is about. Now, an empathic person is the best human being on the planet. They care deeply, they're compassionate, they actually want to not just care about people, they can feel people's pain and want to do something about it. They're very conscientious of others and of others' pain. When they're in relationships and conversations, they're mirroring back feelings, they're being very respectful, and they try very hard to be a responsible human being and to keep their energy clean. However, and especially as women, we can be overly pleasing, overly giving, have poor boundaries, let those leaks continue, waste more energy trying to bail ourselves out. A highly sensitive person can end up having codependent tendencies because we are trying to please, to take care, to fix. It can leave us more than stressed and exhausted. It can leave us ill. You can be the best athlete, but if your mind and emotions and energy are all twisted up in a knot, it's not good for you. So are you overly empathetic? Sometimes with certain people in the past, when certain people show up as a tendency, where's your boundary? Are you a rescuer? A rescuer can tend to put themselves into problem spots because we see pain, we feel it, we want to help, but it can trigger a trauma triangle. And it isn't empowering. People are powerful. It isn't empowering to see people as victims that you need to rescue from some demonic person. It isn't empowering for you. You're overstepping. It isn't empowering for that person that may be in pain, or the person that maybe unknowingly is causing the pain, to keep them as, demonizing them, to keep somebody as weak and unable to take care of themselves without you stepping in. And I'm not talking about child abuse. I'm not talking about some intense physical altercation. Yes, speak up, step up, absolutely. What we're talking about is a tendency on an ongoing basis to draw yourself into a trauma triangle through rescuing. Biggest problem comes up with narcissistic people because they will manipulate you in the situation by playing the victim. Let's say that they were bothering someone and you step in, and then they're the victim, and then they demonize the other, and then they weaponize you and then turn around and blame you because of how you're being for them. It's crazy making. Stop, notice what you're doing, step back, take a breath. No, you're okay, they're okay. Sometimes just, your presence can make a difference. Sometimes taking a breath, sometimes giggling, sometimes removing yourself or somebody else from a situation. Simple things that aren't highly confrontational. Not giving such significance to what a narcissist is saying or doing or how they're being, because it's their trip, not yours. Perhaps you're overly positive or have been in the past, or know someone who is. An overly positive person can have a sunny attitude or just be naive and have a loss of innocence when they realize, gosh, not all people are good people. No, you have to have boundaries. You have to have a sense of right and wrong. And if you have this tendency to just see one grain of good and focus right there, but then you're denying, avoiding, ignoring the bad because it's uncomfortable, you don't know what to do with it. Narcissistic people will exploit this tendency and see it as permission to misbehave. Now, what are you going to do if you didn't call them on the first time and they're 3 or 4 times in? Now it's already set up, the dynamic, and it's going to be harder to break through. Not that you can't, but be forewarned. See things for what they are. Trust your gut. See those red flags. Honor boundaries. Call people on stuff. Don't feel too badly that someone else is not perfect, but do not let them continue to behave badly without calling them on it, or at least acknowledging to yourself, that ain't right. Now, perhaps you're a forgiver, and you can be overly forgiving. Did you know that? You can start giving second chances, and then third, and I used to do this. I was a very compassionate, forgiving person. I understand, but understanding is different than allowing it to continue. It can be very dangerous because narcissistic people are going to keep pushing, pushing, pushing on your boundaries till you have no room to breathe. And they will take advantage of, if you have a spiritual intention of forgiveness, they will abuse that. And they enjoy it. So here's what I say, and I got this from the psychologists that I listen to, that you should hand out your forgiveness judiciously. Like I said, I can understand why somebody did something, from whatever they were thinking to whatever they're feeling to whatever their belief system is, whatever their past traumas were. However, it doesn't make it okay. I will not put up with it. I will state my boundaries, call them out on it, and give consequences. This is the behavior I expect. This is the behavior I will put up with. If not, then this is what will happen. Anything from, I'm not going to have that discussion, I'm not going to engage, wear my headsets, I'll be friends with someone else, etc., etc. And that narcissistic person very much could have had a narcissistic parent, which they learned, pardon me, I think I misspoke, that empathetic person could have, like a narcissistic person, also have had a narcissistic parent, and then learn survival strategies, how to work around the narcissistic abuse. And it can be mental, emotional, physical, sexual, psychic, spiritual, or all of the above. Some are a mixture. And it can become habituated over time as normal behavior. You're used to it. Your bar for stress has gone up, for drama has gone up, for misbehavior has gone up. Excuse me. You know, it seems normal to have controlling, selfish drama queens that are shaming and blaming and dismissing, and you kind of expect it. But then you're left living from a very limited negative self-belief about yourself, other people in the world. You're left with behavior patterns that don't serve you or others. And then basically you're not thriving. You're not becoming who you always thought you wanted to be, who your heart calls you to be, who your natural, awesome self is. That's just waiting for you, but it's covered over with all of this stuff. And we can look at it, recognize it, deal with it. It takes some strength, some courage, some willingness, and a big desire to be done with it and live a great, great life. It is a journey. It didn't take you a day to get here. It's a practice, and you can get support. So we want to heal your empathic heart, and one of the things that is used, I'm a spiritual energetic life coach. One of the energy tools is recapitulation, where you're using your breath to release energy that's not yours, that toxic energy that someone else wants to put on you, and they have, and you're stuck with it maybe for a long time, since a long time ago. And it's a way of using your breath to release that, and then on the other hand, using your breath to then draw in your energy that you've given away. Because if you've got these leaks in your boat and you're spending all this time and energy trying to empty it out so that you can stay afloat, you need to get that energy back to yourself. You can't keep doing this. It's exhausting. You make yourself ill. So there are wonderful tools that I teach that I coach women on. Recapitulation is one of them. And at the end of this, I'm going to just invite you to have a conversation with me to see where maybe I can give you some resources, some ideas to block those leaks and to refill up your heart. Because we're not going to get it from the outside. It's in the inside. You can learn to trust that, go there, expand that, live in that, live from that so that you draw that to yourself. Let's look at the impact. Look at summarizing here. We have looked at recognizing who these emotionally draining people are in our life, how they became like that, and where we participate so that we can stop these patterns and just be in right relationship with ourselves, our inner selves, and other people, and have great relationships, because I know you want to be more at peace and enjoy the life you deserve, not what other people say you deserve, and find your voice and be more authentically expressed, not in reaction to people, and then be able to have the energy to, for yourself to go in and access the experiential knowledge, really experience and know your inner self, which is deep inner peace. As soon as you release what's covering that, your very natural state is peace. And you can live from beautiful, peace-filled days with a renewed spirit and renewed inspiration for your passion, for your spiritual practices, whatever those may be for you. I teach several of them, but for you it could be being in nature. But what I want you to do is become really confident in who you are, who you really are as a being of light and love for yourself, for your loved ones, and for the world. And so we come to the end of our mini masterclass, Heal Your Heart. And I hope that it was beneficial for you. You learned some things you can take with you, and I hope that it serves you well. Again, I'm Devashee Blue at perfectlypowerfulpeace.com, where you can, on my website, you can see my program, Light Up Your Life, where we take you from being overwhelmed and stressed through a 6-module, 6-month program with one-on-one coaching into this bright, beautiful life that you want to create for your heart and for your loved ones, to have beautiful relationships to yourself, your heart, to God, to one another. And in the last slide coming up is my business card, and you can find all the links there. Thank you and blessings. This is my business card, Devashee Blue, spiritual and energetic life coach of Perfectly Powerful Peace. If you would like to speak with me, communicate and connect, you can email me at devashee@perfectlypowerfulpeace.com. And if you want to speak about my Light Up Your Life program, how we can energize your life and bring you to this beautiful place that you've been trying to create, you can first, I invite you to schedule a Heal Your Heart Jumpstart session. It's a 30-minute complimentary session where we look at the 3 energy wounds that may be hurting your heart right now and 3 practices to heal them. Give you a sense of how I can help and support you. The link is also right here. It's also on the website. And then please do go ahead and download your free gift today of Divine Feminine Energy Affirmations. The link is right here. That's also on the website. And this is my gift to you for joining me today. They are beautiful affirmations, quotes, sayings, ideas along the lines of what we've been talking about, and then diving deeper into the spiritual side. So I hope that you really enjoy them. I Again, thank you for joining me, lovely, and blessings.